This is the outside of the Auto-Sleeper Fairford. As I move along, I will firstly come to the gas tank fill point. To fill the gas tank up, firstly just push in and twist to remove the cover. Our UK filler nozzles just slide over this section just here, and then the majority of them, it's just a matter of twisting a lever around and then pulling that lever towards you to lock it onto the side of the van, and then just hold a button down on the pump itself to dispense as many litres as you want, or you can just wait until it clicks off exactly the same as a fuel pump would. And then to release it, just release the lever, twist, and then pull the nozzle back out. This centre bezel part just here is to screw in continental adapters. To view how much gas is in the tank itself, you just need to come to the driver's side, and the gauge is just located here. This can only be viewed when the engine is running, and you'll get a series of green lights indicating how much gas is in the tank. And as you use the gas, they will slowly disappear until you're left with a single red light. Mains hookup point just here. Just remember to also push down on this blue lever when releasing the hookup lead from the van. And then you'll see we've got a sticker just here that says the emergency cut-off point for the gas tank. The gas tank is just located here. I will show you how to isolate the gas when we get round the other side, as it's actually easier to do it from that side because you do not have the exhaust pipe in the way. Fresh water tank fill just here. You can either just use the standard filler point just here, which just takes an ordinary hose pipe, or alternatively you can use the whale filler point just here. The motorhome is supplied with a filler hose for this. As you can see, this end plugs into the van, and then this is a standard hose lock attachment on the other end. To plug it in, just take the hose and push it in, and then just slide this section down just to lock it onto the side of the van. Turn the tap on, and then you just need to make sure that you've got the 12 volt on inside the van and the water fill button pressed on, and then it will start to fill the tank up. The beauty of this particular system is that if you are on a fully serviced pitch with your own supply of water, you can literally just leave the tap turned on, and as you use the water, it will constantly replenish the tank. To remove it, just slide back up, push the blue buttons in, and then just pull towards you. Beside that, we then have an external TV and satellite points, and there's also a 12 volt socket in here as well. And then next we have the location of the Fairford toilet cassette. To remove the cassette, just lift up on the blue lever and then pull towards you. Before use, remove the cap and add your toilet chemical with a small amount of water. This is also where it empties from. Just remember that when you are pouring the cassette away, to hold the blue button in at the same time to release the vacuum inside. It's also advisable to keep this seal lubricated. Fairford do their own seal lubricant, but any silicone based lubricant is fine. And by turning this section here, allows access inside the cassette for additional cleaning. If anything was to wrap itself up around the float mechanism inside the cassette, which would then give you a false reading that the cassette is always full, this can also be cleaned just by turning this section here and removing. All of these cassettes now are on wheels with pull up handles. Directly beneath that we have both the fresh water tank drain just here and the grey water tank drain just here. At the rear of the motorhome we then have the flue for the Truma combi boiler. We do not need to do anything with these particular flues. There's no covers or anything that need to be removed. Just make sure that nothing is obstructing it. Spare wheel is located just here and it winds down. So in the jack and wheelbase kit there's a bar that then locates where my finger is just here. Attach the brace to the bar and then wind the wheel down. There is an air line that runs to the spare wheel and the valve is just located at this point just here, so you can check the tyre pressure and top it up if required without having to drop the wheel. At the rear we have the reverse camera. And now as I move around we have the barbecue point just here. So as you can see the actual barbecue adapter is still attached on a cable tie. So attach the hose of the barbecue to this rib section here and then this end plugs in where my finger is and will lock into place. This will allow you to turn the gas on. To remove the adapter just push on the collar, push it up and it will then release itself. Vents for the fridge just here. This is a fully winterized van, so it is supplied with winter covers for those vents and they look like this. So if you are using the van in extremely cold climate, these can be popped on to hold some of the temperature inside the van in, thus making the fridge run more efficiently. Do make sure that these are removed in the warmer months of the year, or otherwise the fridge will just overheat and not run correctly. We can now see the gas tank more clearly on this side, and to isolate the gas if required it's just done by pulling this lever just here and removing the front plate, and then you can see just here we have the isolation tap just here. The regulator is just here and the crash valve for the regulator is just here. So if you filled your gas tank up and you know you've got gas in it but you're not getting any gas into the van, just check to see if this has not been triggered, because sometimes they can be triggered if you go over a bump violently. The reset button is just where my finger is here. Just hold it in for about 3-4 seconds and it will then reset and allow gas back into the van. Up above we have the Thule/Omnistore rollout canopy. This is wound out using the Canopy winding handle just here. All you need to do is just take the end and just pop it in and then begin to wind the canopy out. As you can now see, I've wound the canopy out a short distance. I always prefer to do this and then drop the legs to give the canopy some support, and you're then also not putting too much stress onto the van itself. The legs themselves are sprung loaded and it's just a matter of pushing in to release it and then dropping the leg down and then getting the canopy at the height you require and then just snapping up the grey lever to lock the leg into place. If I now do exactly the same again on the other leg, and again drop it to the ground and then snap the lever back up, and then I can continue to wind the canopy out, walking the legs as I go. As you can now see, the canopy is fully wound out and it comes out a good 2.5–3 meters. Never use the canopy in high winds, as it does run the risk of being flipped over the roof of the van. And if you need to put it away wet, always try to get it back out and dry again as soon as possible. When it comes to popping the canopy away, begin to wind it back, walking the legs to roughly the point where we dropped them before, and then just wind it back completely afterwards. Now that the canopy has been wound roughly to where we dropped the legs before, all we now need to do is just drop the lever, and then we can bring the leg back up and then just slide it back into place, and then just lock it into this section just here. And if we do the same again with the other leg, we can then lock it in and then continue to wind it away until it will not go any further. Diesel fill just here, and the diesel cap unlocks on the ignition key. We then have AdBlue top up just beneath that, and it will let you know on the dashboard when your AdBlue needs topping up. Tyre pressures on the door pillar just here, and then tucked in the passenger footwell is the Alco Air top up suspension. So on both rear wheels there are airbags that can be inflated and deflated depending on comfort and load. Anywhere within the green is absolutely fine, and they're just standard valves, exactly the same as on the wheels of the van, so they can be inflated either using a hand pump, foot pump or compressor. The airbags themselves just look like this. If you are using a compressor, always be careful because they do not take a great deal of air. Jack and wheel brace kit all just sits underneath the passenger seat. We then have the vehicle battery just underneath the floor of the cab just here, and bonnet release just here.